vigilance, the action or state of keeping careful watch, standing guard, defending the bulwark between the righteous and the godless. Okay, welcome back. Our next guest is Ben Gregersen. Ben is a pretty amazing individual. One of the things that I like about Ben is in the liberty movement, most of us are a bunch of old graybeards, and we are oftentimes talking about what can we do to get younger people involved. Well, Ben is one of those young people that is very much involved and very much welcome in the liberty movement. Anyway, Ben, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lance. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, we're certainly glad to have you here. Now, we're going to be talking more today about the Republican Party in Idaho and even down at the county levels. But first, I would like to give Ben an opportunity to tell us a little bit about, actually two things. Ben, first, tell us about your cable television show. It's on once a week, I believe, isn't it? Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, I have a show called the Ben Gregersen Show. It's on Wednesdays at 9:30 is when it airs, and I usually talk about subjects about liberty and different things going on in politics on that show, but I also. You could actually call in on this show. You could call the phone line and
try to trip you up,
the audience kind of have sway on what the discussion is too. Because sometimes I don't like talking about politics. So sometimes I kind of like talking about other things too.
Sure. Okay.
We talked about all kinds of stuff on there. Fun stuff, football or. I've had callers call in and start talking about aliens before too, and that's kind of fun. Even though I don't necessarily think that there's green monsters out there, but it's fun. It's kind of fun to talk about,
Sure.
Things that are fictional,
Yeah, I hear that. Okay. Well, Ben, you're also involved with the Republican Liberty Caucus. Tell us about your position and what the caucus is all about.
Well, the Republican Liberty Caucus is a grassroots organization that works within the Republican Party to promote principles of liberty. We stand by the United States Constitution. We really fight to protect and defend it, which is what our elected officials should be doing because they take an oath to do that. We also stand by every word of the Republican platform. And today we have lots of Republicans that really are fighting to change our platform. They're trying to take out things like the family values portions of what our party stands for, and a number of other things that in our platform. But we stand by our platform. We really think that if you're a Republican, you should stand by the platform. And really, I feel like these things are trying to change in our platform. These are the kinds of things that actually attract people to the Republican Party, because with this crazy and what's the word I'm trying to look for? With just how wicked the world is getting, I think that people want to look to an organization that is still doing things that are good.
Sure.
And I feel like there's people out there that are trying to remove what's good from our platform.
Well, boy, I hear that. Freedom is not free, but I can help. I offer a set of fundraisers that include advanced firearms training, defensive law seminars, constitution workshops with a focus on the local solution. Now, why the local solution? It's simple. Government of, for, and by the people must always be close to the people. Hey, give me a call, 208-317-9843. Let's talk freedom. Well, Ben, as we go on and have the discussion about the local GOP, primarily this show is about state and county level GOP incidents. I want to share an article that recently was published in the Idaho State Journal. This was an article where the Bannock County Central Committee of the GOP had a lash at you, had a go at you pretty hard. And so I'm going to, if it's all right, just read you some portions of this article and then give you an opportunity to respond to what the Bannock County GOP had to say. Now, as I read through the article, it was apparent to me that their primary issue was that you had the audacity. They said that it was actually in poor taste and inappropriate for the Republican Liberty Caucus to endorse any person who is running for office at a city level. And that surprised me. I can't believe that anyone would be concerned about, any American endorsing any other American. In other words, getting involved in local government as we're supposed to. Oh, is it inappropriate for the Republican Liberty Caucus to endorse others that way?
No, absolutely not. In fact, it's entirely appropriate for an organization like ours to make an endorsement like this. And as a caucus, we could actually make an endorsement in any race we would like and support people that we think are the best candidates. We didn't do anything wrong. But I'll tell you what was in poor taste. What was in poor taste was the chairman of our party coming out and lashing out at a group of registered Republicans for having the audacity to support a candidate in this race.
Now I
thought it was very inappropriate the way that we were accused of not being Republicans. It's really just an insult to Republican voters all over this community. And I don't know who was advising, our chairman down here of the Bannock County Republican Party, but what happened was ill-advised, and I think that an apology is definitely in order, I think.
Now, okay. Now that chairman, for the record, is Dakota Bates, and one of the things that I found puzzling was he seemed to say that the Republican Liberty Caucus is not legitimate because you do not have a resolution from the state Republican Party that gives you legitimacy or credibility in the state. Is that really true? Do you have to have state approval from the state party in order to be a caucus and do the work that you do?
No. In fact, that's a very misleading thing that he said there. He leads people to believe that somehow because the resolution that was passed back in 2012, when we first came to the state of Idaho, because that expired, because those resolutions expire every 2 years.
Okay.
Because that expired, somehow that we were kicked out of the party or not allowed back into the party. And that's just ridiculous. The thing is, we didn't know that resolution expired. But that resolution wasn't a resolution that accepted us into the Republican Party anyways.
Okay, what was it?
We were already part of the Republican Party. All that resolution was a token welcome to the state of Idaho. Because the thing is, the Republican Liberty Caucus is nationally recognized Republican caucus.
Okay.
But in 2012 was the first time that we'd actually opened a chapter in Idaho. So the state Republican Party just wanted to welcome our organization into the state and into the political arena.
Okay.
But it actually is unusual for a state party to pass resolutions supporting caucuses anyways. That just doesn't happen. And I'm not upset at all that the state did do that for us, because it shows that they like the Republican liberty. But it didn't give us any force or power or vote or anything like that.
Okay, so to be clear, the resolution that they passed in 2012 and the resolution that expired 2 years later, that did not give the Republican Liberty Caucus any position, any power, any authority, anything. So you are as powerful today as you were when the resolution was in force. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And despite what Dakota Bates says, you don't need a resolution saying, "Hey, welcome to Idaho." You don't need that to be a Republican caucus. That's nonsense. In fact, like I said before, that was a very unique thing. That doesn't happen. And if what Dakota Bates says is true, that would mean that various caucuses all over this country wouldn't be legitimate caucuses. It's just silly. It was something that was said to sway what Rush Limbaugh calls, low information voters.
Okay.
Around this country, people that are not informed on such things.
If he can make you look illegitimate, then he can make everything you say seem illegitimate, I suppose.
Yeah. So though their attempt backfired. I thought it was explained in the paper, pretty good.
Okay. All right. In that same day, or maybe it was a day later. No, I think it was the same day. There was a letter to the editor that was actually written by Dakota Bates, chairman of the Bannock County Republican Party. And in that letter, he made 3 statements that I would like to read. First, he said he had indicated that you guys are somehow not legitimate Republicans. And then he said, "Let me be clear. Any group proclaiming to be such a thing is in no way, shape, form associated with the Bannock County or Idaho Republican Party." Now, this caught my eye because I'm a registered Republican, which means that I am a representative of the Power County Republican Party. I obviously live in a different county than you, but the Power County Republican Party and the State Republican Party. I am registered, I have a voice, I have legitimacy. But he seemed to say, I'll read this, "Let me be clear. Any group proclaiming to be such a thing is in no way, shape, or form associated with either the Bannock County or Idaho Republican parties." He seemed to just dismiss you as not being a Republican. Is that what you got out of that?
Yeah, it's statements like are irritating because of how ill-informed they are. It's ridiculous to say, because we are, our group is a group of registered Republicans, and for him to say that we have no affiliation, to the Republican Party, either in the state or in our county, is ridiculous. I mean, here RLC members have officially registered as Republicans, so they've legally affiliated with the Republican Party, and yet we have the chairman of our party saying that we're not at all affiliated with them, even though we've registered Republicans. We've registered as Republicans, which is the legal way you affiliate with the party. So I don't know, that kind of stuff it's just silly.
You can't make this stuff up, can you? It was crazy to me, and in fact, it's my understanding that if someone is not a registered Republican, they can't even join the Republican Liberty Caucus. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, let's move on. His next statement. He said, "Furthermore, Mr. Gregersen, who claims to be..." let me start again. "Furthermore, Mr. Gregersen, who claims to lead this group, is also not a member of the Bannock County Republican Party in any formal capacity." And in this statement, I he made the same old claim that you're just not a real Republican, so back off. But the other thing he said, and this really troubled me, is he seemed to challenge your position with the Republican Liberty Caucus. He says you claim to be the leader. You claim to have authority for the Republican Liberty Caucus. Now, you either are or you are not the local chairman of the Republican Liberty Caucus. Are you or are you not?
Yes, I am a acting chairman of our caucus, and I do lead this group. You know, it is troubling that he'd question that I lead the group. I think what he's suggesting is that I'm too stupid, you know, to actually lead a group like this. So I'm probably somebody's puppet, which is just ridiculous, and it's sad that our chairman has stooped down, I guess, to such statements, and is saying things like that, especially because Dakota Bates is actually somebody that I grew up with, and I've always considered him to be a friend, you know, and we were friends, you know, and I just think it's sad that he's lashing out at me in such a way, because I've never publicly lashed out at him and done anything like that to him. So I don't know. I just really think it's sad, and I don't really know why he's doing it.
Well, I felt the same thing. I felt like that was just a little bit of a low blow. We're not suggesting that, you know, Dakota Bates claims to be the chairman of the Bannock County GOP. We're not saying that he pretends to be.
No, he is the chairman.
Exactly right.
And he does lead the group.
Exactly right. And that's the point I'm making, is we're not challenging his chairmanship there, and it's unfortunate that he would do that to you.
And I'll be clear here, Dakota is a good guy. You know, what he's doing here is ill-informed and it's not right. I hope he apologizes for all of this at some point, because we've got a divided party down here in Bannock County, and this is only going to divide it even more. And in this case, the leadership at the Bannock County Republican Central Committee, they've just gone too far. You know, it's going to be hard really to unite the party and bring it back together when stuff like this is being said by our leadership.
Well, yeah, it certainly doesn't seem to belong. In closing, I would like to make one statement and then talk a little bit about that. He went on and he said, he makes it very clear that the Republicans should not get involved in local city level elections, which I think that Americans of every sort, Republican, Democrat, Independent, Constitutionalist, whatever, should all be involved at every level. But he said that shouldn't happen. And then he said that we only ask the voters of Pocatello and Chubbuck to seek those candidates who are dedicated to fiscal responsibility and promote Republican ideals. And I think that at this point it would be wise to talk about those candidates that actually have been endorsed and supported by the Bannock County GOP. First of all, there is Ken Andrus. Now, Ken is a good guy. I actually quite like Ken, but I disagree with some of his positions, and I wish that the party would pressure him to straighten up. One of the things, he takes a lot of CRP money. That's welfare dollars for farmers. It puts farmers in a special and an elite group that can receive money that's not available to the rest of the world. That's too bad. And recently I saw, just a couple days ago, that he's leading the charge against the horse racing industry. And I think that it is foolishness for governments to legislate morality. But that's exactly what they're doing. They are going to put a lot of people that raise horses and race horses and run horse racing facilities. Those people are going to lose their jobs and their livelihoods because they say that gambling on horses is wrong. Well, maybe it is and maybe it isn't. But if gambling on horses is wrong, then so is the state lottery. And so that troubles me that he's doing that. And he is an endorsed and supported candidate or representative from the Bannock County GOP. We have, and Ken is the best of the bunch. Ken really isn't a bad guy, just sometimes a little misinformed, I think. We have Kelly Packer, who is strongly supported by the GOP and very strongly supported by Dakota Bates. Kelly Packer voted against a bill that would give parents rights to decide what's best for their children in our local schools. Do you remember that, Ben?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember on social media there were a lot of concerned citizens that wondered why Kelly was opposing the Parents' Bill of Rights and wondered why she was voting the way she did. And nobody was mean to her. They were just asking her the questions, wanting to understand why she voted that way.
Sure.
And rather than answering them, she got angry and left the group on social media and said she was never coming back.
Well, that's
she threw a fit, which makes me wonder if she'd be able to actually put on a town hall meeting, because these were the kinds of questions you'd have in a town hall meeting. None of it was being spirited. Everybody was being polite, I thought. There was no reason for her to have acted the way that she did. As far as I know, Kelly Packer has never done a town hall meeting. In fact, she's never done any kind of event where she's been questioned publicly. I remember when you ran against Kelly Packer, she refused to do a debate with you.
She did. She certainly did.
I don't think that she can handle being asked questions. I think she loses it, and she knows that she loses it. That's just something she cannot handle is people questioning her decisions.
Sure. Well, there's one other thing that I'd like to remind everybody about, because I'm still very disappointed that people didn't get excited about this. There was a bill that was literally going to unseat virtually every naturopath in the state. Jason West, a naturopath with a clinic that is 3 generations now of Wests have been running this clinic. He went to Boise to testify against the Kelly Packer bill, and she sent him a text, told him that if he testified, that she would strip away two rules that allow him to remain in business. In other words, she put him out of business. It took me months to run down this story, and when I did run down this story, she threatened lawsuits if the story was to be published. And then after that, I tried to get her to join me in an interview so that we could just talk about some of these issues. And at that point, she told me, and this is in writing, I have this from her, she told me straight up, if you bother me anymore, I will make sure that the police are at your door, and I will have the Attorney General investigate you. Well, folks, I am her constituent. She has to answer to me. It's her duty. And I try to not be mean-spirited as well, but I do ask hard questions. And so anyway, this is another example of the fiscally responsible, quote, Republican leadership that the Bannock County GOP seems to like. And then finally we have Jim Guthrie. Jim Guthrie is our senator. Jim also receives a lot of CRP money. Jim Guthrie went back to the special session after the regular session and voted on a law that strips many Idahoans of local protections. In fact, I wrote an article about that and documented that for many Idahoans, he had removed 9 of the first 13 human rights listed in the Idaho State Constitution. And so anyway, long story short, I think that Republicans need to focus on, like you said, the Constitution of the United States and the Republican platform and live by that. And they need to stop playing party politics and look at those people that are in that are our legislators and in other leadership positions, and make sure that they are following those two documents. Anyway, Ben, we need to close, but before we close down, I want to just give you a few minutes. Is there anything we missed that you would like to address real quick?
Yeah, there's a couple things. I wanted to discuss a little bit what it said about me when he said Ben Gregersen is not a member of the Republican Party, and he's not a member of the Republican Party in a formal capacity.
Okay.
And then he said the reason that I'm not a member of the party is because I'm not an officer of the party. And I just think that that's wrong, because 95% of those who register Republican and vote Republican are not officers in the party.
Okay.
So he's alienating every single registering and voting Republican out there when he says that I'm not a Republican for those things, because he's actually saying that those people out there that are registered Republican and voting Republican, that they're not Republicans either.
Okay, I guess.
I mean, I don't understand why the GOP would say such things, because that's the kind of thing that's going to alienate our own voters. I mean, that's not good.
Well,
another thing too.
Okay, go ahead.
I mentioned earlier how divided our party is, and to be honest, I think the only thing that is going to unite our party is if we unite ourselves around constitutional principles,
Sure.
first and foremost. And if we unite on our platform. I mean, the Republican platform is something that every Republican should agree on. You'd think that the principles in our platform is something that would bring us together. So we need to unite ourselves around the Constitution and our party's platform. And a lot of this nonsense that's happening just needs to stop. People need to treat each other with respect and with dignity. And really, the only reason that there is divide in the party is because too many Republicans are not following the Constitution, and they're not embracing the Republican platform. And when that happens, that causes a divide in the party, because we don't like it when Republicans don't act like Republicans.
Sure.
So that kind of stuff automatically creates a division. So what really needs to happen is we need to start behaving and acting like Republicans again. We need to start following the Constitution and embracing our party's platform, because our platform is what we supposedly believe in. And that's what I believe in. I hope that we do believe in it. So.
Ben, I hope we do too. Hey, listen, we got to close. We're out of time. But thank you so much, Ben. I appreciate you being with us.
Yep. Thanks for having me, man.